Welcome to this tutorial where we will learn how to use a basic if statement in Microsoft Excel. My name is Alwyn. Make sure you watch to the end and please subscribe. I do value your support. Enjoy this tutorial. So let's get ready on this. So if we look at our spreadsheet, we've got monitors that we are actually selling. And if we look at the sales, we've made a 64,000 sale with the expenses of being 42,450. Based on the balance, so where we took B2 minus C2, we got 21,550. So we want to analyze this information even further. We want to know, was there a profit? So how do we know if there was a profit? Let's base it on this balance. Now, if it was zero, we met par, but if we went below zero, we made a loss. So basically we're saying anything higher than zero is going to actually be the profit. So let's do this. But before we create a calculation, I want you to look towards the right-hand side here where I've got logical operators. It's very, very important for you to look at your keyboard and familiarize yourself with these various keys. So what is the less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, as well as not equal to. Especially when we're looking at the less than and greater than, equals to, as well as the not equals to, the keys are actually very different to what we know mathematically. So let's create this formula. So if I click where I want my answer to be, I'm going to put in an equal sign. Equals tells Excel, there's not ordinary text, not ordinary numbers. This is a formula. So we want to test this cell. So this cell being D2, we're saying we want to test D2. What about D2 do we want to test? We want to know if it is greater than 0. So is D2 greater than 0? Let's press enter. Wow, we got the word true. And that is why this is called a logical formula. Logical formulas always result to true or false. So I'm going to change the expenses. Let's make it 70,000. False. So there wasn't a profit. How awesome is this? Logical formula. So we use logical operators to calculate logical formulas. So we just look at a cell that we want to test. And based on that cell we're testing, do we want to see greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or even not equal to something. So we're doing a test. Let's revert back to the original. So we're now back to true. Let's take this one step further. Having it say true or false has no real meaning to this. So we want to put more meaning to it. We want to put some meat to it. So we want some actions to the word true or false. So if you're doing a simple test, once we have the result of the test, what is the consequences of that? What is the action to that? So if I walk into a room and the walls do not look so good, so I'm testing to see what the walls look like. If it looks like it needs a new coat of paint, my action would be then to put a new coat of paint. Otherwise, we walk away. So in this case, I'm saying if it says the word true, it'd be nice to actually, instead of saying true, it says profit. Otherwise, say the word loss. And that's where the if function comes in. So I'm clicking where I want my answer to be. I'm going to the formulas tab and I'm going to the logical book. So here we're working with a logical function, true or false, true or false. So I'm going to logical, I'm going to choose if. And it opens up the function argument dialog box. In there, we've got logical test. So logical test is the test that we want to perform. So we want to do the same thing as we did in E2, where we tested D2. So we're saying, go and test D2. What about D2 would you like to test? What about D2 would you like to test? We want to test, is it greater than 0? So the logical test is where we're testing the floor, the floor. What about the floor? Is the floor carpeted? Is the floor carpeted? So here we're testing, is the floor carpeted? Here we're saying, go to D2, D2. What about D2? Is it greater than 0? Who cares if the floor is carpeted? Who cares if D2 is greater than 0? We do. Because if the value results to true, we wanted to say the word profit. However, because this is text, we've got to make sure we put in inverted commas, double inverted commas on either side. Whenever we're working with text and we're inserting that text, we need to put it within double inverted commas. So we're saying, test to see if D2 is greater than 0. Test to see if the floor is carpeted. Who cares if D2 is greater than 0? Who cares if the floor is carpeted? I do. Why? Because if the floor is carpeted, we get to sit down. If D2 is greater than 0, it must place the word profit into that cell. Otherwise, it needs to place the word loss. Otherwise, we get to stand up if it's not carpeted. So logical test is the cell. It's always a cell that you're testing. What about that cell we're testing? Is it less than, is it greater than, is it equals to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, whatever number? Who cares? We do. Why do we care? Because we need an action to that. So the action is, if it results to true, the word profit must be placed in. If it results to word false, then it needs to place loss in there. Let's click OK. And there we go, the word profit. But let's test this. Let's go to expenses, 70,000, loss. How awesome is that? Let's modify this function. So let's say I made a mistake. Whenever you make a mistake, you can click on the cell, click on FX next to the formula bar, and it opens that dialog box for you to make changes to it. So what I'm going to do is, wherever it says loss, I'm going to take this out. Let's see what happens. So I'm not putting any information in there. I'm going to click OK. Notice how it just says the word false. It doesn't actually leave it blank. So what would happen if I actually wanted it to be blank? So I'm going to click on FX. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in double inverted comma, no space or anything, double inverted comma, click OK. And if you see, it actually looks like a blank cell, but if you look at the formula bar, you can actually see there's a formula. Let's change this to 50,000. And there we go. So as you can see, we have modified that formula to show that if it is false, it must be blank. We could do the same if we wanted it to be true, that true needs to be blank, while false needs to be a loss. We can also indicate that. Good. Let's look at another scenario. Let's say, based on the word profit, so if we reached a profit here, I want to put in a comment. So, based on this cell, so I want to test the cell, F2. I want to know, is F2 equals to profit? Is F2 equals to profit? Now I'm going to do it as a normal logical formula first. So I'm going to click there, equals, because it's a normal formula. And I'm clicking F2. What about F2 that you want to test? F2, I want to test, is it equal to? And then the word profit. Now, because profit is text, we've got to put double inverted comma, profit, double inverted comma to close it. So is F2 equal to the word profit within double inverted commas? I then press enter to tell Excel I'm happy with what I have done, and it says the word true. Let's change this, 50,000, let's say 80,000. false. So as you can see, we've got a blank cell as well as false. So what I want to do is I want to change this. So I want to change this to actually have an action, So this is where we're going to use the if function. So I'm deleting this completely. I'm going to go to the logical functions, if. So I'm going to do exactly what I did before. It says logical test. What would you like to test? The floor, So we're being specific. So here we're saying, go and test F2. What about the floor do you want to test? What do you want to test about F2? I want to know, is it equals to double inverted comma, profit, double inverted comma. So what do I want to test? Is F2 equal to the word profit? Notice I didn't put an equal sign before it, because if you look at the formula bar, it's already put in the equal sign there. So you don't need to put the equal sign before the F2, but it is important to have the equal sign before that text. So is it equal to profit? Who cares if it's equals to profit? I do, because if the answer results to true, I wanted to say met target. If it is false, I want it to be blank. Do you remember how to make it blank? Yes, double inverted comma, double inverted comma. So 2 double inverted commas. So logical test, we're testing, is F2 equal to the word profit, double inverted commas for both. If that is true, the action is met target. Otherwise, let it be blank. Let's click OK. And as you can see, we've got a blank cell, but it's actually not really blank, because if you look at the formula bar, we can actually see the formula there. So let's change the expenses, 32,000. And there we go. We have now met a profit as well as met that target based on the word profit in cell F2. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for joining me on the session. Please don't forget to subscribe. Have a fantastic day.